Came here to say who won it from the jump. Came here to get exactly what you want. Came here to say that you don't really want it with us. Yeah, we live, you know. We came here to say that you don't really want it with us. Yeah, the sports show.
Tom Brady's finally gone.
So we have the Eagles, the team that a lot of people didn't think would make it this far. A lot of people who thought this team was a fluke.
That was just hate. They deserve to be there.
Versus the quiet assassins that they are, the Kansas City Chiefs. And when I say quiet, I mean they were on the hush the whole year for the most part. When we mean that is that they were out of the media for almost the entire year. The headlines had nothing to do with Patrick Mahomes for the most part. It had nothing to do with the Chiefs. I can name probably a couple times on my hand when the Chiefs were in the headlines this year. Everything was surrounded around the Bills, Lamar Jackson, his contract, whatever the Eagles were doing, the Giants, and Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers.
Yep.
And sprinkling some and no bullshit. The Jets were in a lot of these conversations too, because
that's because the Jets had fucking Zach
Wilson.
Wilson.
Jets were playing. Oh, and Tua getting hurt all the time.
Again, 17 concussions in one season.
17 concussions in one season, a world record. Again, we're not making fun of the fact that he had a concussion. We're making fun of the fact that Miami thought it was cool to put him back in the game after he was damn near crip walking and trying to get up. So, my first question to the table is, who has the biggest pressure this game? What pressure lies on
the
which
Eagles?
Team? Why do you say that, Randy?
It's the Eagles because of two things. One is the fact that their record, and two, because of the fact that this is Jalen Hurts' first time in a big, really, really, really big situation. The NFC East not the NFC East. The NFC as a whole this season wasn't as strong in terms of, competition, and he was able to kind of breeze by. I mean, you were going to beat the Giants, the Niners did what they could, but you were going to beat them regardless. And of course, Tom Brady, you saw what that happened, down in Tampa Bay. So, and of course, Dallas is going to Dallas. But at the end of the day, I'm not saying it to be an asshole. I'm not saying it to be an asshole.
That was great, but you were absolutely right. Dallas was going to Dallas, and they end up Dallas in the best way they could Dallas.
And I truly believe like they need a new at this point it might be Dak, because there's no way you have Zeke be a beast and not give him the ball to run.
No, Zeke is ass too. Zeke is ass too.
No, because they're not. You have a wide out. There's something wrong. Something got to. Jerry Jones got to do something.
Jerry Jones got to go.
Pretty much. He almost like Vince McMahon. So it's
they're the same person. They're the same person.
So, there was no resistance for the Eagles. They had a very good season. Jalen Hurts is a very good quarterback. I'm not taking anything from that. But, the pressure's on them. Mahomes and them, they're comfortable because this is life for them. They've been here before, and Mahomes he's like the Steph Curry of football, man. He's going to let that ball sling no matter what. Now, it's the question is always about the Chiefs defense. For whatever reason, when the games is its brightest, the Chiefs defense always pulls through no matter what. Because I always worry about the defense, but somehow, some way, they always make out in terms of how they play defensively. So I'm not worried when it comes to Patrick Mahomes. I am worried about the Eagles. Now, defensively, I'll say the Eagles will be all right, but offensively, it's going to be a tough game. I don't think Hurts is going to basically sling that ball enough. You're going to have to establish a run game. And then, of course, he's going to have to run out the pocket in order to gain some yardage. Mahomes, he can do whatever. The fact that he's been to the Super Bowl before, and has been to the top, he knows how to see certain parts of the floor and see the toughest of defenses that can get geared to him. So,
right.
for the Eagles, what they have to do in order to basically to come out on top is to basically play their game, but you have to ratchet up a different level, because when you're going against Patrick Mahomes, you have to attack him. Don't try to attack you have to attack him head on. You got to sack him. You got to make sure he doesn't get any movement. Make sure he doesn't leave the pocket, because if he has one look at somebody in the field, it's Travis Kelce or one of the wideouts, you know what's up, and it's already a touchdown, and you're basically already down 7 points. You're considering they make the field goal. So the fact that they've been there, they're playing calm, cool, collected. The pressure is going to be on Philly's side, because for one, a lot of them, outside of some that's been from the last Super Bowl, haven't really been there. So Jalen Hurts is also now new to this as well on the biggest stage, and who knows what's going to happen with that, because this has been an interesting stream of success that the Eagles have had, for a minute now. But now with a new quarterback in this situation and new staff and whatnot, things are a little different. Yes, they're smash mouth defenses on the third, but you're facing a well-oiled machine. Ain't nobody know Philly like Andy Reid as well. So this is going to be, it's a full circle kind of a game. But when we're talking about pressure, I do think, it's more so on the Eagles than it is for the Chiefs. I think Mahomes is going to come in. He's going to be calm and cool. He's going to sling that ball, and I think that the Chiefs defense is going to get the necessary stops on Hurts and the Eagles offense when they need them. Like the Eagles probably going to be pressing more defensively, but at the same time, offensively, they have to match it. If they can't match it on offense and defense,
that's it.
There goes Cam Reddish, by the way.
What happened? Where's he going?
Josh Hart for Cam Reddish.
Oh, that's a good pickup. That's a good pickup.
And a first-round pick. So they had to trade a protected first-round pick and Reddish for Josh Hart.
That's not bad.
Okay, New York.
Let's go! We made a good deal for once.
That's for once in your life. Jesus.
Sheesh.
That's
Randy, I gotta agree with you. Yeah, we did. I gotta agree with you and disagree with you at the same time. I think
if you go for the Eagles, I'm walking off.
No. I think the pressure's on Kansas City. And here's why. It's because of what you said. This is his first time in the Super Bowl. This is, even though Philly has been to the Super Bowl before, this is Sirianni's first Super Bowl as head coach. This is Jalen Hurts' first Super Bowl appearance, right? For the Kansas City Chiefs, this is number 3. And in many people's eyes, they should be 2-0. And instead, they're 1-1. This is Andy Reid's 4th appearance in a Super Bowl. And he is 1-3.
Well, you got cheated out of the first one.
This is true.
Yeah.
But at the end of it, he is 1-2. Sorry, in his 4th appearance. So my whole thing is,
you got cheated on the first one.
My whole thing is, you have this team that year after year after year we have talked about as being a Super Bowl contender. We have talked about being possibly the Super Bowl winner. We have talked about how Mahomes is a generational talent, how Mahomes is a bad man, right? How all of these things apply to Patrick Mahomes and that team.
Bad motherfucker right there.
And yet they are 1-1. Okay. Mm-hmm. I think there's a lot more pressure on Kansas City because they've been there before. There's not pressure on themselves. I think there's a lot of outside pressure because they've been there before, because people have seen what Mahomes has done, because people know how good Kelce is. People know what this team should be. If Philly were to lose in the Super Bowl, there's going to be a lot of disappointment. And there's going to be a lot of people losing money.
Disappointment.
And everybody's going to say, what happened? What happened? Right? But at the end of the day, a lot of people are also going to rest on the fact of, it was Jalen Hurts' first Super Bowl. It was Sirianni. Give them next year. Watch next year. They're going to be even better because they were in the Super Bowl already. This is the team to watch. If Kansas City were to lose this Super Bowl, the narrative is going to be a lot different. the narrative is going to be, well, maybe Patrick Mahomes is great, but can't get it done under the lights. Or what about Andy Reid? Well, we have always known Andy Reid is always the bridesmaid, never the bride. Maybe he got the one that he got, and that was it. Why do we still have Andy Reid as coach? Oh, what about Eric Bieniemy? Oh, this. Oh, that. There's going to be so much riding on Kansas City. I think Kansas City has to win this more than Philly does.
So before you jump in, Randy, both of you guys make really good points, and I'm going to touch on both of them. As far as the Philadelphia Eagles, Tay said this throughout the season. If we look at the schedule and the difficulty of their schedule, only about maybe one or two of the teams that they played against made the playoffs or were in playoff contention. And you look at the last couple games of the season, they beat the Lions by 1 point, and the Washington football team beat them.
5 teams, by the way, Dre. 5 teams.
Five teams made the playoffs out of them, right?
Yeah, they played 5 teams that made the playoffs.
5 teams that made the playoffs. But
beat all of them except Dallas.
Right. Surprisingly.
That was the Jalen Hurts game. That was Minshew's first game.
Yeah, but I think the strength, but if we looked at it too, the strength of the schedule was a lot lighter, especially towards the end of the season as well. And
they ain't beat nobody.
Exactly.
Right. They had 5 playoff teams. You had Dallas, New York, Tennessee, Jacksonville, and Minnesota.
And if you look at the New York games, like we've all seen,
Minnesota's a fraud.
Minnesota was definitely a fraudulent team. They Pittsburgh Steelers are for real, for real. But
frauds, bro.
The Giants games, they almost lost both of those games. They almost lost both of those games.
The first one was a blowout.
Yeah, the first one was terrible.
First one, 48-22 back in week 14. It was that week 18 game. It was the week 18 game that everybody thought they were going to win. That the Giants could have won that game and should have won that game. And then the Giants got embarrassed.
But even the blowout game, the blowout game, the fact that the Giants,
they came back.
Those were self-inflicted turnovers on the Giants end for that blowout win. It wasn't that the Eagles were doing anything out of this world. Those are self-inflicted turnovers.
Giants beat themselves that game.
Yeah, Giants beat themselves that game. So, but moving forward into the playoffs, the Eagles have not really shown me anything to where I'm like, I can see them, dominating or putting Patrick Mahomes in a little situation. So Patrick Mahomes might sit there and cook. Now, to Pete's point, in terms of the pressure being on the Chiefs, if we look at Patrick Mahomes, and I'm going to go to stats because this is Pete's thing. If we look at Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl, Patrick Mahomes' stats in the Super Bowl are ass. So Patrick Mahomes has thrown 2 touchdowns and 4 interceptions in the Super Bowl. Yeah. This is not to mention getting dogged out the last time they were in the Super Bowl and him being partially injured because his offensive line can't block him. Right? So Patrick Mahomes has a passer rating of 64.2 with 556 yards in the Super Bowl. That doesn't seem like a winning.
Say what you want about Philly, though. Say what you want about Philly. They beat 2 really good defenses. The Giants defense and San Francisco, and they ripped San Francisco's defense apart 31-7. You can talk all about Brock Purdy and everybody getting hurt, but we're talking about the defense. That was the number 1 defense in the NFL this year, and Philly went in there and ripped them 31-7. People forget Philly was the number 3 ranked offense this year. Okay, Philly was the number 3 ranked offense behind only the Kansas City Chiefs, and I forget the team that was right in front of him. And I'm just blanking on that. Sorry, it was the Buffalo Bills, and they were only 0.3 of a point, percentage points behind the Buffalo Bills. So if you really want to get technical with it, tied for the second best offense in the NFL. Okay. They beat the number 1 defense in San Francisco. They are the number 6 defense in the NFL, averaging only 20.2 points per game. Okay.
Right.
Kansas City, a little bit lower than that at about 22, allowing 22 points a game. So, and when we talk about the playoffs, okay, Philly has allowed 7 points. That's it. And Miles Sanders has not been himself, if we're really being honest. Kenneth Gainwell has really showed out in the playoffs, but they still got Miles Sanders. You got Devonta Smith and A.J. Brown, okay, as receivers. So this is going to be a very, very interesting game. I mean, the Chiefs almost lost to Cincinnati. Okay, let's be very honest with that.
Yeah.
They, Jacksonville almost beat them.
Tony Khan would have had a parade.
let's just it's not like Kansas City has come into the playoffs and run roughshod over its opponents. They've won 23-20, and they've run 27-20. And it may be part of their plan this year. We don't want to go ham. We don't want to go, Patrick Mahomes, 6 touchdowns a game, 54 points, all this other stuff. But this is going to be the time, if they're going to turn it on, to turn it on. If the lights are on, it's game time. And in my opinion, I am picking where my money is going. My money is going on the Eagles on Sunday. I am going with what I think is the better team, but I also think the underdog. Because I think a lot of people are looking at Kansas City and saying they've been here before. They know what to do.
No, you make a compelling argument. See, the only reason why I leant towards the Chiefs is because of the fact that they're a little bit more tested than the Eagles. And what obviously, the points of the fact that Mahomes has basically had bad numbers in the Super Bowl. I mean, so is a lot of quarterbacks because it's just one game. It's not like a whole series. And that's it's a sample size. So you don't know, what's going to happen that day, because when it comes to football, you never know until it's a sure thing, So the Eagles do have a shot to win. Be primarily, for me at least, if they do win, it's going to be predicated off their defense. It won't be an offensive game. It's going to be ugly, kind of like when the Rams won the championship. Like, it's not going to be an easy situation where every possession is going to be, all right, we're going to sling down that ball. Right. Both teams are going to be, this is for the championship. This is a one-off. There's no 7-game series. There's no best of 5 or best of 3. This is it. So both teams are going to go all out. But the only reason why I leant towards Kansas City for me is because of the fact that despite the numbers, for Mahomes having a QBR rating of 64, 65, if in that ballpark, is because at least from an IQ standpoint, he is better than Jalen Hurts as a quarterback. That's the only reason why I'm leaning towards that aspect. Now, Jalen Hurts can play, can find ways to offset that with his athleticism and his way to basically, mix it with the run game. Right. But the thing about it is like Mahomes is that dude. Like, his arm is like a Steph 3-pointer. If he sling that thing at least 30, 40 yards, and you could get it to Travis Kelce or you get it to one of them wideouts, it's all they got to do is catch it and run. Whereas for the Eagles, it's going to be grind out for them, because it's going to be a grind out for them, because from an offensive standpoint, it's going to be easier, at least for the Chiefs defense, to try to target Jalen Hurts in that at retrospect, in terms of, conversely try to get Patrick Mahomes, because at least he knows how to get the ball out quicker and out of the pocket. That's why I kind of lean towards Kansas City. Philly does have a chance, but it has to be primarily defense. Defense has to be your calling card to win a championship. And if you have an opening, a la Giants when they beat Tom Brady twice, you take it. If it were me, like I take the Super Bowl, shitting on them like Bradshaw did in the Super Bowl. But those things have to be paramount if you're a team like Philadelphia. You already know that the Chiefs are an offensive-minded team. So they're going to go for the throw. They have the wideouts to do it. They can score at will. Their only job is to slow them down and to have that one knockout blow. Like, yeah, you can stay in the fight. You can stay in one of those, the 12-round fights. But as long as you have that one good hit, that one good throw that could basically that could change the momentum of the game, that's what Philly has to basically work their way to, rather than just go for the run or go for that one play, because that's not them. You have to grind it out and make the right play at the right time when you have the Chiefs where you want them. Whereas for conversely, for Kansas City, they can see the floor very well in order to basically put up points.
Right. So and that led into actually one of the questions. Is Jalen Hurts ready to have one of those all-time games in the Super Bowl? And I say that because it goes back to what you said, Randy. The Super Bowl stats. Super Bowl is a one-off. It's one game against a team you probably never see, or you probably see once in like 7 or 8 years. There's really no film but the film that you see them playing against other players. Other teams, you don't have the experience to play against them. So magical things can happen. But, Pete, does Jalen Hurts have to have a Patrick Mahomes-like game? And I'm not talking about his Super Bowl game. I'm talking about Patrick Mahomes playing like against Josh Allen type of games to beat Patrick Mahomes.
No. And here's why. Because if he tries to do that, I think that's where he loses. I think if Jalen Hurts tries to play like Mahomes, if he tries to play that game, if he doesn't go with the game plan that has gotten the Philadelphia Eagles here, I think that is where they go wrong. Jalen Hurts needs to play his game. He needs to keep the Chiefs defense on their toes by using his feet. He needs to utilize Gainwell and Sanders in the run game to open up that passing game. They're going to need every weapon that they have to beat the Chiefs. But I think playing their game and allowing the defense to keep Mahomes. And if this goes into a gunfight, do I think Hurts can keep up? Yes. I've seen Hurts play those kinds of games. I think he can do it. Do I think he has the team that can support him in doing that? No. I think Hurts has the ability to do it himself as a quarterback. Do I think that team around him is going to give him the opportunities to do it if he has to do it? No. At the end of the day, the Kansas City Chiefs have more weapons and more opportunities than the Eagles are going to have, and then the Eagles do have. But what Hurts is going to have to do is Hurts is going to have to remember those national title games. Hurts is going to have to remember what it was to be under those lights. Listen, Jalen Hurts is trying to become only the 4th player in history to win a national championship, a Heisman, and a Super Bowl. Okay, only the 4th player in history. And the other 3 players, Tony Dorsett, Charles Woodson, Marcus Allen. None of them are quarterbacks. So trying to become the first quarterback to do it as well, you could put Reggie on that list, but Reggie got his Heisman taken away. But at the end of the day, Jalen's going to have to play the game of his life. Yes. But if he tries to play like Patrick Mahomes, I think that's where the Eagles lose.
Yeah, so that's basically goes in line in terms of like, if the Eagles got to win, you got to grind it out. You can't play as like saying like the 07 Spurs cannot like try to match up with the 14 version of themselves, like the 2014 version of themselves that beat the Heat. Like you can't. There's 2 different teams. One team is slow and steady. You get it. You get there fundamentally. The other teams, we're going to sling that ball around and just get these assists up and help each other and help our man defensively and basically block for our guy offensively to create space and just open up the floor or open up the field. That's exactly what, this game is going to be tailor-made to watch. And for that being one of the biggest games, if not the biggest game every year, it's the show, that people, watch in droves for. It's going to make for a good game. Because it's one of those styles makes fights type situations with great offense meets great defense, and you're meeting in the middle for an opportunity for a one-off that, listen, this bout is for 60 minutes. It's 4 quarters. You gotta find your way to kind of just navigate every possession, every down, every timeout, every snap. It's going to come down to those little finite things. Like you have to cross your T's and dot those I's. That's what the Super Bowl is going to be for the Philadelphia Eagles, which is why, again, for me, that's the only reason why I lean towards the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm not, I know certain Eagles, well, you don't like it because you don't like the Eagles. No, you have to look at it. Take your fandom and objectivity out the door and look at it from what you see in front of you. When I look at the Eagles, they are a good team, but of course you look at the sample size that we've seen, like Dre said, and watching your show, I got the girl's name wrong in my head, but like she's mentioned on many occasions on y'all show the fact that the Eagles, Cam, Jennifer, you muted.
Tape, yeah.
Now I was trying to read Dre's lips.
It's like we were out here doing a DMX song.
Yeah. So like, no, but like she mentioned countless of times the fact that, like the Eagles, they haven't really beat. They already beat nobody of substance that give them any type of resistance.
Right.
They're just putting points up. They're doing their job and beating those teams, but is it because they're that much better than those teams, or because the level of the teams that they're beating are not really that good, especially in the NFC. So, and the way you see their trek to the Super Bowl, again, it wasn't met with much resistance outside the Giants game, but of course we beat ourselves in that one. So now you're going to the Super Bowl with a team that has been there, like I mentioned before, and we've all mentioned it's been universal. Yes, the pressure could be, internally for Kansas City because they lost the last one they went to, but externally, it's not on them because of that reason. They are a more battle-tested team, and they face more resistance in the playoffs. Like those games against a Joe Burrow twice back-to-back years are going to give you that kind of battle that you need going into the playoffs. Because if right. the Eagles going to give them that kind of battle, like the Bengals gave them just this past couple weeks ago, they're going to be fine. They've withstood some of the worst battles, especially in the AFC alone. They've been through the gauntlet already. They faced the Patriots team. They faced some great teams. The Bills as well. They faced some good ones, man, along the way in this run. So I don't put it past them to basically use that experience and that advantage for them. And for them to basically take advantage of the deficiencies that the Eagles will show, because it is their first time there as that collective in that little era. So mistakes will be made on the Eagles side first and foremost, and that's when Kansas City will capitalize off of it because they know, again, where to find their weapons and how to execute. Now it's just on to Mahomes to basically be a more calmer version of himself, because the last one he was in, obviously, it didn't turn out well. But this time around, he has enough wherewithal. He's seen enough film, especially of his performances in those two games, to see, all right, maybe if they do this, if they pressure me, if they blitz me, if they zone me, maybe I could go about it this way. And if they do this, I can do it this way. Or, all right, I'll probably go for the run here or just flip it and just do something different. Those are things that Mahomes is going to have to which I hope he's done in preparation for. Because he is a champion. He is something that the Eagles want again, in the last quarter century, and that is a chance to be called champion. And hopefully they get a chance to do it.
what scares me is something that you spoke about. We talk about how they had really no competition, really. When I look at the games they played this year, what scares me the most about the Eagles is they won two types of ways. They either blew teams out, Minnesota 24-7, Washington 24-8, Pittsburgh 35-12, things like that.
But they were trash.
or they won close. Week 1 in Detroit, 38-35. Week 4 in Jacksonville, 29-21. Week 5 in Arizona, 2017.
Trash
okay.
Again.
They beat Indianapolis by 1 point, 17-16. Beat Green Bay by only a touchdown, 40-33. Beat Chicago by only 5 points, 25-20. What scares me about the Eagles is that they have sometimes played down to teams that they have played, which is kind of scary. If you end up playing down in the playoffs, especially in the Super Bowl, it's not going to be in your favor. But Randy, I think this is going to pop you a little bit. If the Eagles want to win this Super Bowl, there is a tape that I think they can watch. Now, their outcome has to be a little different than the outcome. The same, I should say. But they should watch tape. Super Bowl 25. They should watch tape of their heated rivals, the New York Football Giants. You know why? Because in Super Bowl 25, the New York Football Giants set a Super Bowl record for time of possession, 40 minutes and 33 seconds. Now, granted, the Bills of the 90s were just that damn good.
Like a motherfucker, bro. That's 2/3 of the game.
Right. Now, the Bills were that damn good back in the day where
Jim Kelly days, baby.
You gave them a third of the game, and they still almost won the Super Bowl. They lost on a goddamn field goal, right?
Bills.
Right. But that's the recipe that the Eagles need, as you were talking about earlier. That's the recipe.
That's
what I'm talking about. They need to go out there. Yeah, they need to go out there, frustrate Mahomes, at least do their best to frustrate Mahomes, keep him on his toes. Don't let it be easy for Patrick Mahomes. And they want to control time of possession. If you listen, the Giants did it in Super Bowl 25, won the whole thing. You know what team was controlling time of possession before they flubbed an entire Super Bowl away? The Atlanta Falcons. Controlled the entire time of possession, even into the second half of the game when they lost. They led the game in time of possession.
I'm gonna tell you something about that game.
Now, Pete, they called him up. They was like, they gave him the script. There's like, all right, see, listen, you're going over too fast. You got no too fast. See, now it's a comeback. So now you got to lay down and you got to let me come back and get my 5 moves of doom in and LOL. See no one.
Right.
Real quick, and that was it. Like
Atlanta, you're not yet. Matt Ryan, they got a call from the booth. Matt Ryan not allowed to win the Super Bowl.
That's what I'm saying. Like
script or no script. When I got to halftime, this was the same way I felt. It was the Giants Super Bowl when they played Tom Brady. When they got to halftime and the Giants were up or the Giants scored or whatever it was, everyone's like, yeah. I'm like, that man Psycho T is he's still there, bro. He's still there. So then when I saw the Ravens, I was like, all right. I mean, not the Ravens, the Falcons. I was like, all right, he scored one time. Y'all know what's about to happen. As soon as he scored the first time, I'm like, y'all know it's over, right?
Them damn dirty birds, man.
Yeah, dirty birds. And then it's just y'all gotta stop bothering Tom Brady. Like
the niggas had a concert. Yeah. Like the people were partying. Atlanta was like, yo, we finally won. We finally won.
Yeah, it just wasn't in the script. That's all. It wasn't in the script.
And then Tom Brady was like, nah, man. It's like, yo, Yo, what for one of them zebras? It was like, yo. All right.
Take some of that air out. Let's rock.
Take some of the air out,
Take some of the air out,
man.
man.
Take some of that air out. Let's rock. Let's take some of the air out the ball, like out the arena, like we did the ball, right? Ha! Like that's pretty much how it went. But like I said, Tom Brady, one of those people where the game, y'all think the game is over and it's not, and then you look it up like,
unless you're facing a Manning, so
unless you're facing a Manning,
yeah,
the one of the Eli proportion.
Yeah, I mean, Payne beat him in the playoffs a couple times too. So
listen,
Yeah,
you know what?
Payne beat him in his last ever
Payne beat him on the way out.
Before we go out, I love that we have Randy on here for this. I do want to get Tay and Matt's opinion on this at some point as well.
It's about damn time,
but I wanna ask you and I want to ask Randy. Dre, you and I have talked about this a little bit. Randy, I don't know if you heard this, but earlier this week there was a reunion on First Take. For those of you who listened to Afternoon Drive Radio back in the early 2000s, you know that it was dominated by Mike and the Mad Dog, Francesa and Russo. And Francesa was apparently ESPN and WFAN finally made up and are friends now. Because Francesa was on Stephen A. Smith's show. Let's just call it what it is. And they were talking about Tom Brady's retirement.
Took that shit from Skip.
And Tom Brady, yeah. and they were talking about Tom Brady's retirement, and I wish him all the best and hope he stays away.
He will this
time. Leave him alone, Pete, because if he comes back and he wins another Super Bowl, you know who fault that's going to be, right?
You.
Wait, before Pete finished, so a couple years ago, the first year of the show, we do this thing called Pick Five. You've seen the show, so you know what we do. So we're doing Pick Five. We're getting towards the playoffs, right? Pete will not shut up about Tom Brady. He keeps saying, Tom Brady this, Tom Brady that. We're telling Pete, shut up. Let Tom Brady lose. Leave him alone, right? Pete keeps talking. Tom Brady goes on the magical run and wins the Super Bowl. Tay wins Pick Five because Pete kept talking bad about Tom Brady. She came back. She won Pick Five, but Pete egged that on by egging Tom Brady on to win the damn Super Bowl. And every year we tell Pete, shut the fuck up, let Tom Brady lay where he's at. But guess what he does? He continually talks. This year was the only year where he said, fuck Tom Brady, fuck Tom Brady, fuck Tom Brady, and Tom Brady loses. We don't need him changing his mind. So let him live. Let him sleep, Pete. You can continue
I'm gonna let him sleep. Thank God, finally.
Or is he going to pull another Brett Favre? He's a Ric Flair right now. He about to pull Brett Favre and just say, "I'll never retire." Type ass.
Stop. We need to stop. We need to stop. Go steal some welfare money with Brett Favre.
No. Brady got his own money. He might
Brady got his own money in there.
Oh no. See, Brady's so broke in his own marriage, he might actually get alimony.
Right.
Lord.
Yeah, he might.
Giselle's worth more than he is. That football money is like $100 bill to Giselle.
Mm-hmm.
So Mike Francesa was on First Take and talking about Brady's retirement. And he was asked about whether or not Tom Brady is the GOAT. And his response was, and I had to step away from him and think about it. He said that he puts not one, but two quarterbacks above Tom Brady. He said, and I quote, "Brady's not the best regular season quarterback I've ever seen. Peyton Manning was."
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yes, absolutely.
He's not the best Super Bowl quarterback who ever lived. Joe Montana is. What he is, though, is the guy who played the longest and the guy who won the most games. And he went up and he says, winning all the Super Bowls matter because that's how we keep score. But if you ask me, and I have one game to win, I'm picking Joe Montana. Now, for those of you who are watching our show and don't know about Joe Montana's career and just know who Joe Montana is, Montana went a perfect 4-0 in a Super Bowl. He has thrown no interceptions ever in a Super Bowl. And in fact, had 5 touchdowns in Super Bowl 24 against the Denver Broncos.
That boy was cold.
Right? You know, Montana was cold, right? And so I got to ask your opinion. Is Francesa right? Or, as a lot of people wanted to say that same night, is Francesa out of his damn mind?
All right. I'll brief this. I'll brief it by saying this. His assessment, his exact assessment of Tom Brady was 100% correct. And the reason why I say that is because the measure of greatness, like you said, when Joe Montana won the Super Bowls, who was the MVP? Joe Montana.
I believe it was Joe.
So it was Joe Montana, right?
I believe it was Joe.
When Tom Brady won them 7 Super Bowls, how many times was he MVP more than 3 times? It was usually Vinny Vinatieri. I think it was Vinny Vinatieri. I think 1 year.
Montana was the MVP in three of the 4 Super Bowls that they won.
But he's won majority of the Super Bowls. That's 75%. That's 75% clip.
4-0 in Super Bowls. Yep.
So that's 75% clip in terms of MVP rate, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's say Tom Brady won about 2 or 3, about 3 and 7, right? That's about what 43%. Yeah, about 43%.
Okay.
Yep.
The measure of GOAT is that you are imposing your will. When it's championship level, you're imposing your will. You ain't letting somebody else take it. Yes, you're a great player, but if that other person is more valuable to that win than you just got them there. Yeah, you did your part, but you're not the definitive reason why they won. You didn't will them to win.
Okay.
Seahawks, they gave it to Malcolm Butler for Pete Carroll's mistake, because the Seahawks should have been back-to-back champions. That still pisses me off till this day. And then I think Gronk won one as well.
Gronk got one, and Edelman got one, I think.
And Edelman got one.
And I think it's also important to notice that Montana also holds the record as the quarterback that had the largest margin of victory in the Super Bowl when he won the Super Bowl by 45 points.
And then you look at Tom Brady's what? He's been with 10 he's lost 2.
He's 7-10.
So he's 7-10. Oh, he lost 3. Excuse me. I still think about the 2 wins that we put on his head. I forgot the Phillies got one off of on him. We just gave him the cheat sheet that one night. You're 7-10 in Super Bowl, 70% percentage. But out of those 7 that you've won, you won what, 2 or 3 of those Super Bowl MVPs, but the rest of your teammates have won it. So you're not the cause of winning those MVPs. And not also
Jerry Rice won the other one, by the way. Jerry Rice.
Jerry Rice is the GOAT wide receiver anyway. So that's just a different story for another day. But Tom Brady was benefited by the system of Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick, if we're basically drawing parallels, is basketball's version of Greg Popovich.
Right.
The way the model of consistency of that franchise and what they were able to do while Tom Brady was there, when they had the roster to do so, he was a product of the system. And then when guys were able to win Super Bowl MVPs in spite of Brady, it kind of showed you that maybe, Brady's decent, but he's not great enough to will a team. Like, he's not going to give you that huge throw. That's for Peyton Manning. That's for Aaron Rodgers. That's for Joe Montana. That's even for Eli, who's beat him twice on the biggest stage of them all in NFL. So Tom Brady's greatness is going to be measured by the fact that he was able to be a conduit of winning those championships, but not the sole reason. And because he's a common denominator, of course you're going to say, oh, he's a GOAT, he's this and the third. He's made some smart plays as a quarterback. That's what you're supposed to do. I always call Tom Brady a very intelligent quarterback, but he's not the best quarterback. Like, what Peyton Manning was dealing with in Indiana with less than scraps that he had also before he had Reggie Wayne and my boy Pierre Garçon in Indiana. So it's like, yo, before he had them, Peyton Manning was dragging that dead franchise on his back. And then when he finally got some help, this and the third year, he ran into Brady and had some tough breaks. But other than that, Peyton Manning was still considered at that time the best quarterback. You know, and if you've heard Tom even say it himself, like, man, if it wasn't for the fact that outside these rings I got, Peyton's that dude. Bill Belichick said Peyton is that dude. And he's coached Tom to at least, 6 of those 7 championships?
Yeah.
So it's like, it's something should tell you, you know, what, like, and when they talk about Montana being the greatest, it's not the fact, he played in this bygone era, they played more physical than the third the game was played. It's because, it's like the Jordan effect.
I was going to get to that.
Impose your will. Like you got to be the most definitive fact. Like, take your heart out. Tom Brady never really took someone's heart out of a game. That's usually a teammate, a play here, a play there. Peyton Manning, you're having cold sweats at night because you know he's going to take your heart the next game.
Yep.
Joe Montana, you can't even sleep. You can even think about a dream cloud knowing that you had to go against him the very next day if I'm an opposing defense. Because you have to guard Jerry Rice. And then on the defensive end, when you had prime time there for a cup of coffee, you had to deal with that in their defense.
And you had Dwight Clark. You had so many other players there. I mean, they had great teams. I mean, listen, the stats are similar at the end of the day. I mean, it's like you said, the Jordan effect, 6-0. He's 4-0. He's won 3 or 4 MVPs. Brady is 7 for 10. Brady is 7 for 10, and he's won 5 MVPs. So he's won MVP 70% of the time. So he's won MVP in 5 of 7 Super Bowls that he's won, and he's won 7 of the 10 Super Bowls that he's been to. So so when you think about it longevity-wise, when you also think about the fact that Montana played from 79 to 94. Montana had to deal with the Chicago Bears, the Buffalo
Giants.
Bills, the Giants.
No. My mistake, Lawrence Taylor.
Right. You had to deal with
Lawrence Taylor and friends.
Right. You had to deal with the Giants. You had to deal with the Giants defense, the Bears defense of the 80s. You had to deal with some of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play the game. Okay. Understand the only reason why Marino does not have a goddamn Super Bowl win is because he could not get past Joe Montana and the San Francisco 49ers.
He didn't even help, bro.
So right. And this conversation goes into, like, when you look at the Bill Russell, Michael Jordan debate that people used to have, Bill Russell has 11 rings. I'm sorry. Bill Russell is 11 out of 13. Michael Jordan is 6 for 6. Yes, Bill Russell has the most championships of any player or coach. I think he's tied now, actually. Him and Phil Jackson have, I think, around the same.
Yeah, but Phil's more as a coach rather than as a player.
Yeah, no. I'm talking about ring count in general.
I think Bill has slightly more because
Phil might have 1 or 2 more, but it goes to that conversation. Michael Jordan went 6 for 6 and final MVP all 6 times. I know the award wasn't made for most of those championships that Bill Russell had, but if we're looking at the common denominator in a lot of those Boston Celtics championships, yes, Bill Russell was an important part, but Bill Russell's team had every Hall of Famer on the Boston Celtics you can imagine.
Bob Cousy,
John Havlicek, Sam Jones, all of that.
Casey Jones.
So
you had them all, man.
You had them all.
Cousy wasn't even. Yeah, Cousy's got a weird record too when you think about it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So when it goes back to Tom Brady, in football terms, yes, football is a weird sport because we're gonna call Tom Brady the GOAT for going 7 for 10. But in basketball, we're not gonna call Bill Russell the GOAT from winning 11 out of 13. But Joe Montana went undefeated, like you guys said.
But the thing about it is what determines the greatness, especially at the position, and it goes with Jordan too. It's not just a 6-0. It's basically what your ability to impose your will in the biggest moments, in the brightest lights, excluding the championship scene.
And that's what I was getting to with Brady and Jordan comparison. Brady wasn't the best regular season person, but when you line up against Michael Jordan every night, you know what Michael Jordan was going to give you. Michael Jordan has the highest career average in points per game. You knew a guaranteed at least 30 points were getting put down on you, and whatever extra was just because he felt like it.
And that's in his sleep.
Right.
My man had a sliced finger and a bulky knee in DC and still dropped 40 on the Nets at the age of 40.
Right, and averaged 20 points a game that season.
Played every game.
This is pre 3-point happy league. This is still mid-range. This is still mid-range and inside.
This is pre-modern. This is pre-2023 modern medicine. If 2023 modern medicine was given to Michael Jordan back in 2002,
listen,
I'm telling you right now, that was a team.
Don't do it to him.
That team will be a championship contender right now.
Don't do it to him. Listen, if guys like if guys like Larry had modern medicine,
I mean,
if guys
again,
like Reggie,
Luka Doncic,
he's
here. He's here. Like Luka's here. Like,
guys,
they're still trying to find Mike. We see the next Larry here. Like they're still trying to find Mike. We have Larry and Luka Doncic.
Imagine if Luka shot a consistent 40 from 3.
Well, if he has to bring down his shot selection down a bit. If he's able to do that, then Luke is dangerous. He does that shit to have fun. My man has like Luka's numbers this year is outworldly, but yet they put Jokic's name in MVP contention. And mind you, if we're talking valuable, Luka should We're not going to get into that.
But as far as the Tom Brady GOAT conversation is concerned, that's a very good thing that they brought up on First Take. And as soon as I saw it, I was like, this would definitely be a good debate topic because, like I said, everybody calls Tom Brady the greatest of all time.
He's not.
But football aficionados and some people who have covered the sport forever kind of know what's up. But definitely something we can deep dive into another time. But Randy, sir, thank you so much for jumping on. We definitely appreciate you. Please plug yourself.
Anytime,
everything that you're doing.
Anytime, man. But listen, Dre, you know it's nothing, man. You're brother to me, man, and I'm glad to be part of this and jump on. You can find your boy the People's Champ at the Backstage Brawl. It's the Backstage Brawl on Facebook. You can follow us at Backstage_Brawl on Twitter. We just dropped an episode this past week. We wanted to give the ladies some love, so we talked about the scope of women's wrestling. So we basically just try to see and maximize Jade Cargill's potential. We try to jump in to see how we can maximize the women's potential in the WWE as well, heading into WrestleMania and beyond. For those who don't know, we are moving live to the Sports Hit List coming March 4th on Saturdays at 2 p.m. That's under the Sports Hit List brand. The broadcast will be moving there. I also do a podcast called the Homers Podcast with my boy Rob Reineman. He works with the Dan Patrick Show. Right now, he is in Phoenix as we speak, covering the Super Bowl. So
there we go.
I guess when he gets back, we're going to be, we have a lot to talk about. So when we get back, we're probably going to talk Kyrie. I know. So he's probably going to talk about, the baseball season's coming up. We're about to go into the World Baseball Classic. And if I had a dog in the fight, it'd probably be Puerto Rico. Now y'all kill every baseball classic, so it's either y'all Dominican Republic, y'all always in the finals. So
yeah, y'all it's either one or the other. Nobody else.
So, but yeah, you can definitely find us over there, and you can find us on Facebook as well at Backstage Brawl. Please follow the Sports Hit List page for other sports talk. They also have wrestling shows as well called the Wrestling Injection, and so much other things, man. Of course, I'm also part of the shop. We'll be back next Friday. So
yes, the shop will be back next Friday.
So the shop will be on. But yeah, man, that's where you can find us. You can find me on Instagram at _ his name is King. You can find me on Twitter under the same name, but I have different underscores.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, man, it's been a pleasure to come on and just be part of this. And shout out to the Jabba Network. Shout out to Pete, you, of course, Dre, and it's been fun, man. I needed to talk sports, get some shit off my chest.
Yeah, get it out sometimes.
Get it out. So I was expecting Matt to be on so we could spar, but I know Matt's a working man, and we'll circle back. We'll spin the block.
Oh well, yeah, we spin the block for sure. We spin
the
block, and with baseball season coming up, and Pete really severely needing somebody to speak to about baseball. I mean,
if he's on the same boat with me that we should throw Cashman into the East River, then we're fine.
I don't hate Cashman. I love Brian.
Yeah, yo, Trey, end the show. End the show. End the show. I'm mad at Brian. That's 3 strikes, Pete. 3.
I love Brian.
Listen, shout outs to.
I love G. Michael more than Brian, but I love Brian.
Oh my God, this guy. Yo.
I can't not love Brian.
No, I might have to be back because I have to get this right, man.
No,
we have to get this right.
You'll be back. You'll definitely be back. Eric too. We'll have Eric on too.
God, Pete.
I'll let you guys go crazy and go at it.
No, this be the one time I'll just shut the fuck up and let E just go at it.
Oh yeah, no, I'll just produce that show. I won't even be on. I'll let y'all do whatever y'all want on that. But shouts to the Queen Tate. She's out doing her thing. Shouts to BK Matt. He's out working again. Shouts to the Job Potatoes Network, all the shows on the Job Potatoes Network.
Shout out to you, dogs, man. Shout out to you too, man.
Oh, shouts to me a little bit.
Dog, man. Listen,
just here, man. Here.
Listen, man. You're a brother in arms in this podcasting game and bringing me along and being a brother and embracing me and doing the shop stuff. And listen, man, you gotta embrace yourself too, man. It's Black History Month, so I gotta salute my brother too. God damn it.
I appreciate you, bro.
There we go. Let's do it.
Appreciate you. Pete, also March 10th, right?
Yes, March 10th.
Friday,
March 10th. There can only be one. We Are Wrestling presents its first show of 2023 and its second show back in the Boogie Down Bronx, and we are crowning our first ever grand champion, an 8-person tournament to crown the first ever grand champion. 6 of those participants have already been revealed. We will have Darius Carter one-on-one against paid in full captain of the Fallout Shelter, Anthony Gamble. We will have Prolific's Isaiah Wolf one-on-one against the new Battle Club Pro franchise champion, the gifted one, Yaya. And just dropped today, made official, Big Game Leroy will get his wish. Well, if they show up, it will be Big Game Leroy one-on-one against the Bayonne badass Danny Moff. If Moff shows up, yet to be revealed who Rob Killjoy will face in the first round of the tournament, but also revealed earlier this month. In fact, the first match announced for the show, the match to crown the #1 contender. If you thought the tournament was crazy, this one takes the cake. Janai Kai one-on-one against Trish Adora, and the winner becomes the #1 contender for the We Are Wrestling Grand Championship. The Grand Championship will be revealed live at the show. Let me tell you, I've been getting pictures and updates. It looks beautiful, and there's still some more matches to be announced. We want to thank all of our people showing up. The G-Dub Gentlemen, the Yerrr Sports Show, the Jabba Tears Podcast, Penny Wrestling, everybody coming out. Listen, we going to pack it out on March 10th in the Bronx. It's going to be a movie.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Ooh, yeah, I dig it.
Mm-hmm. So, Once again, for the voice of a generation, Pete Rosado. For the people's champ, the Haitian Stephen A. Smith, a.k.a. Randy. It is your boy, Big Baby, signing off. Peace.